Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight, we got a good one here. It is the race replay of the 802 Busch Series here at Darlington. I'm Brett the Jet in the booth with Turn 3 Racing Network here, and bringing to you the action of 125 laps. Going to be the distance here tonight. Of course, these boys going to be live and back on action Friday nights. This next Friday, these drivers will take on, I believe it is Phoenix Raceway, so that should be a pretty good show. Always a good time with these B cars or Xfinity, now O'Reilly's cars. So we take a look here at the standings during qualifying. Of course, qualifying going down right now, and so far it is Mike Kelly in the 43 machine with the quick time, 29.57. I think we have a few other cars here out on the racetrack, one of them being the 80 machine of Logan Cougar. Cougar, of course, big time in the points race here, and a great lap time there for the first lap from the 80 machine, as Cougar will go to P number 2 for the time being. Cody Gibson here in the 7 machine will jump up into 6. He is the driver that is sitting in that 6th position. Looks like one of the last cars here to take a time. It looks like it will be the 23 machine of Joe Hudson. So we'll see where Hudson can go here in qualifying late in this one, as the 23 machine here off of turn number 4 gets a little bit tight there, keeps it off the wall though. Hudson will go 13th here on lap number 1. Probably not going to have time to complete lap number 2. So here tonight, the Riptide Radio Pole Award will be the 43 machine of Mike Kelly. So congrats to Mike here, and we'll see if that Pennzoil 43 machine can bring that thing down to victory lane when it counts here after 125 laps. And speaking about when it counts, what do you guys say we head down trackside to go through tonight's starting lineup? Alrighty, folks. Here's tonight's starting lineup for the PD 153 here at Darlington. And it will be the 43 machine, like we said, of Mike Kelly on the pole, leading the field to the green flag. Gibson on the outside of the front row. We got to see his lap time in there. The 80 machine of Logan Cougar will roll off P number 2. Then we head back to row number 2. Starting on the inside in P number 3 will be the 6 car of Johnny Barker. To his outside will be the 38. One of the drivers on a hot streak here. It is the 38 of Chad Coleman. Then we head back to P number 5. That is the 51 machine of Kenneth Kuko. So I believe Kenneth here making his first start here on the Friday night series. Then to his outside will be the 7 machine, our current points leader. It is Cody Gibson rolling off in 6th. Starting in 7th is the 46 car of Dustin Coggin. To his outside, starting in 8th, is the 61 of Steve Ritter. Rick Kennedy in the 10 machine will start in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be the 62 machine of Frank Zingen. Rob Lowell in the 21 machine, he will start in 11th, and Brian Wortman in that 74 machine will start 12th. 13th here tonight will be the 23 machine of Joe Hudson, and to his outside rolling off 14th is Ron Holyfield in the 25. Landon Audit in the 15 machine will start P number 15. Very nicely done there. And then it is George Ledsma in the 67 machine, rolling off 16th. 17th will be the 32 machine of Bryson Anderson. Brandon Guerin in the 1 car will roll off 18th. And starting shotgun on the field here tonight will be the 45 machine in 19th of Larry Bell. It looks like actually Ken Kuko as well as Larry Bell here not making the call for the green flag. So looks like about 17 cars at least up on the grid ready to take the green flag as we get ready to rock and roll. Like I said, 125 laps going to be the distance here tonight from Darlington. And I tell you what, this racetrack, this car combo requires concentration each and every corner to make sure that car doesn't bounce it off the wall, or you end up facing the wrong direction, spun on out. But here we go, iRacing pace car down to pit road. Mike Kelly in the 43 machine going to be in control of Cougar, the other car on the front row. We now wait for the 43 to head into the restart box. He will fire on off, and we go green flag racing here in the Busch Series at Darlington. 2x2 for most of the field into turn number 1. Top 3 already single filed on out. First side-by-side battle here is for this 4th position. As they get close, they make contact down the back straightaway. Johnny Barker hard into the outside wall. He will lock that car on up, and it looks like Barker here going to be involved in the first caution of the evening as he will get that car rolling. But big time damage to the 6 of Barker. Not the way that he wanted to start the night. Started inside that top 5 there, and it looks like going to be a short night then. Points leader Cody Gibson, remember the other car involved in that one, as we already see Gibson here down on pit road. So I would have to think that the 7 car has at least a little bit of damage there from that one. So the field is slowed on off for that first incident here on lap number 1 off of turn number 2. As Gibson will head into his pit stall here, we pick back up with the field. Looks like everyone else so pretty much able to kind of survive and make it, as we do get no other takers. So yeah, 17 cars here taking the green flag, and it's at least probably going to be knocked down to 16 here. If not, maybe another car might be down and out, as Gibson looks like will go 1 lap down at least, as he is still down on pit road here. So definitely a tough break for at least 2 drivers there, Johnny Barker and Cody Gibson. It looks like Gibson might be calling it a night. The 7 car here, it looks like bringing it pit side and behind the wall. So I believe Cody Gibson going to be done for the night. Johnny Barker probably going to be the same. So a tough way to start this race, but That is Darlington for you. It takes a whole lot of finesse to run side by side here. That's why I have a feeling once we see this race, go green, we'll see a lot of give and take. If someone's faster than someone, we'll probably see them and say, hey, you know what? We'll let you go down the straightaway. Avoid these situations that, could end up being a lose-lose like we just saw there with the 6 and 7. So the first caution here kicking off right away on lap number 1, but here we go. We will try and turn them back loose here once again at Darlington as the lights will go on out next time by. We are going back to green flag racing here. As up in front here, Mike Kelly, Logan Cougar still on the front row, and actually I think the 80 machine may have gotten a piece of the outside wall. You see Cougar there. If we can get a good shot of that right front, yeah, you can see right there a little bit of damage there right behind the headlight there. So we'll have to keep an eye on this 80 machine, see if the handling starts going away a little bit, because here on iRacing, any sort of damage does affect the race car, sadly. So something we will have to keep an eye on here for the rest of this one, or at least till the 80 machine can get back down on pit road and get some of that damage repaired. But here we go, the field doubled on up. iRacing pace car off the racing surface. We now wait for the 43 machine here to head into the restart zone and lead us back to the green flag, as that is the start of the restart zone. That white line across the track there. And once again, Mike Kelly gets away with a good start. He is out in front, side by side for second though, through 1 and 2. We saw it not work out last time. How will it work between Cougar and Coleman? So far, so good. They will stay side by side for the time being. Throughout the rest of the field though, everyone quickly back to single file racing. That'll be the case here for second, as Logan Cougar going to hang on to that spot. A little bit deeper in the field here, Bryson Anderson in the 32 machine under some heavy fire from the 25 of Ron Holyfield. Holyfield to the inside here down the front straightaway, 2x2 into turn number 1. Holyfield's going to be big time sideways, get the apron a little bit wrong there, and luckily able to hang onto that race car, complete the pass as well. As right behind them now, Brian Wertman going to try and get that spot on away, and that is a battle for 14th on the track. Wertman in that purple 74 machine going to make it look pretty easy on that one. So everyone trying to get their bearings back underneath them here, trying to make sure that they are hitting their marks, doing what they need to do, whether keeping that car out of the wall, that's going to be top priority. But then you got to remember, keep those tires underneath you, because here at Darlington, old racing surface, high speeds, pretty tight corners for what they are. It's going to be the name of the game to keep the tires underneath you with keeping some decent pace. As right there, we saw the one car of Brandon Guerin there get around the 15 of Landon Audit. Audit's going to get tight there off of turn number 2. You heard the 15 machine there have to really get up out of the gas, and that opens up the inside now to the 10 machine of Rick Kennedy. So Kennedy going to be able to get on by. Now same with the 25 machine as well. Out in front, no real change. Top 5 kind of starting to break on away a little bit from the rest of the field. Mike Kelly continues to lead the way, has led going to be all at least 9 laps here so far tonight. As Logan Cougar, though, is still getting a lot of pressure from Chad Coleman on that rear bumper. That's right on board with Chad Coleman, looking on forwards, and at the back here of the 80 machine, and see what he is seeing and take a lap here around Darlington Raceway. Saw Coleman just tag the wall there with the right rear. That's why he pulled the car on down. And then 3 and 4, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the 38 machine. Keeping those lefts right on that dash line, keeping the clean air on the nose of that race car. Cougar gonna have a mistake there off of turn number 4 though. Coleman not quite close enough to capitalize, at least on that mistake this time by. And Coleman waiting right there for a mistake from that 80 machine if he gets one. Looks like George Ledsma here lost a few positions during while we were riding on board with that 38 machine, so not sure if he did it on purpose or not, but maybe he's trying to run the pace, which I don't blame him. You know, let people go, save your stuff if you can. Might be a pretty good call from the 67 or the 44 on the car. Brian Werman able to get around the 74 machine. You see the 25 of Ron Holyfield getting down and out of the way. That's kind of the move that I was talking about where, hey, if someone's faster behind you, you can let them go nice and safely just like that. And we see that both cars able to survive another lap here because they know they got a long way ahead of them. You know, still over 110 laps left in this one. So definitely not the time, you know, to kill a race car, push the limits, have this thing, you know, be a handful in even 20 laps. Never a fun time here at Darlington. Now we see the same move done there by the 23 machine of Joe Hudson. He saw Brandon Guerin and Rick Kennedy maybe a little bit faster than him. Will pull up out of the way down low and let them on by. So Brandon Guerin right now, biggest mover of the race at the moment, already up 10 spots inside the top 10. So his one car might need to keep an eye on him because right now Brandon looking pretty sporty for the time being. Last time by, the best car on track was the driver now up into second, Chad Coleman, able to get around Logan Cougar. And now Coleman starting to set sail, starting to reel in our race leader, Mike Kelly, just a little bit. He is just outside of a half a second on back here. So Coleman going to try and get back in the draft if he can. So maybe got a little bit tight there on exit, had to wait that extra split second longer to get into the throttle. And with that, you see right there, lost almost 0.2 of a second just by not getting a good exit. So that shows you how tough this place is and how much you need to be up on the wheel and hitting your marks each and every lap. Dustin Coggin here in the 46 machine starting to track down Logan Cougar, as well as right behind him Steve Ritter starting to get in the mix as well. So this could be a 3-car battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th here in the next few laps. If not, right now as Coggin closes right up to the back bumper of the 80 machine. Cougar will get a piece of the wall there down the front straightaway. Won't hurt his momentum though. We'll be able to get back about a 2-car length breathing room over the 46 here, but with those two right in front of them, Steve Ritter starting to close in the gap here early. And like I said during that caution, I'll go back to the point. I wonder if that damage on the 80 machine starting to affect that handling just a little bit, because seems like he has lost the pace even maybe a little bit to Coggin and Ritter as well. But right now, especially here at Darlington, it's one thing to catch another race car. It's a whole different ball game to get on around him and complete the pass. But here we go. Coggin will look to the inside for the pass in 3 and 4. Cougar will drive it in there deep, hang out in front for the time being, but Coggin putting a lot of pressure here on Logan for that P3 position. I tell you what, I give Dustin Coggins a lot of props here to be able to hang on right on the back bumper of that 80 machine, not get tight, get into the wall like we saw Cougar do just there. He was able to actually bounce it off the wall, help it rotate for the time being, as Logan Cougar gets a good run down the front straightaway. So we'll lose P number 3, but hang on to 4th for the time being. So now Steve Ritter will start to put some pressure here on the 80 machine. Let's ride on board with the 80 machine of Cougar. Looking on back to Ritter here and just take a look, just see how tough this place is here. And it's that much more tougher, especially with a car, you know, very much in that rear view mirror. You're trying to, you know, really drive the wheels off your race car, but having that extra pressure of that car right behind you never helps. As we see Steve Ritter about a car length lower here. Ritter able to get to the inside. Cougar gets tight, has to wait on the throttle. Now here comes the 61 machine. He'll dive down into turn number 1. Cougar will give him the spot, let out of the gas early. And Steve Ritter now up to P number 4. So that will kind of cool things on off just a little bit up in front. Further on back here, Rob Lowell with some damage here. I think got that on that first incident there. You can see some damage on the 21 machine. Haven't talked too much about him here tonight, but now trying to keep Brandon Guerin and Rick Kennedy at bay here. As Rob will get into the wall big time here in 1 and 2. Will keep it up out of the way. Rick Kennedy having to do big time evasive maneuvers there from that bottom side. Yeah, I think Rob Lowell, he is having an ill handling race car, whether with the damage adding on top of it or whatnot. That 21 machine definitely not, you know, turning the way he wants it to, and I'm sure that wall kind of bouncing it off the wall right there not helping the case. As that time by though at the start finish line, still 100 laps to go. As now here comes Brian Wortman, Joe Hudson, Ron Holyfield starting to reel in this 21 machine. Wortman will let Joe Hudson go, so it looks like Hudson starting to pick back up the pace here, trying to see what he has left in the tires here after saving at the beginning part of this one. As Hudson will close into about 2 car lengths here to the 21 machine down the front straightaway. Gonna let out early, let the car float on up to the wall, then get the car to turn back down the hill. Get a nice low straight exit, can get you a nice big run here. And with that run, Hudson will take a peek to the inside here through 3 and 4. Hudson now to the inside, now clear, so move the 23 machine here up into 9th for the time being. And it looks like we did have 18 cars start the race because the 51 machine of Ken Kuko able to make it out here tonight. So we will be a few laps down, looks like 5 laps down. So gonna have to get a lot of help from cautions and those lucky dogs here. But if they were to get 5 cautions, he could be back on the lead lap. At least picked up 2 spots from Barker and Gibson. But as these 2 cars have been nose to tail, it seems like this whole race, Brandon Guerin, Rick Kennedy both running very similar laps here in these first 30 laps, and a pretty good pace as well, because now they're starting to catch the tide ride of Frank Zingen. Zingen was comfortably kind of in P number 6 here, riding on around, running his own pace, but now starting to get tracked down by the 1 and the 10. And I tell you what, Kennedy all over the back bumper here of Brandon Guerin. That's right on board with Brandon Guerin, looking back at this 10 machine here. As, yeah, Kennedy putting a lot of pressure on him, showing him the nose down these straightaways. As right there, Frank Zingen will let him get on by. Brandon Guerin will drive it in there deep. Get tight. Here comes the white number 10 once again, as Kennedy has a good run here down the front straightaway into the back of Brandon Guerin. Contact between them. Brandon Guerin hard into the outside wall. He will keep it rolling, but wow, that could have been big time trouble, as Guerin will keep that, like I said, keep that car rolling. But holy smokes, that is the trouble going too wide here at Darlington, as Rick Kennedy will take over at 6th position. Brandon Guerin will somehow stay inside the top 10, but whew, that could have been trouble for a lot of cars in that one. Oh, one car hard in the outside wall there. That was 62 of Frank Zingen getting a Darlington stripe, and that's pretty much the trickiest part of this racetrack, is off of turn number 2, at least behind the wheel. It feels like the wall kind of kicks back out to the left there and gets a lot tighter, so you got to be really precise on both your throttle pickup as well as how's the car turning and where it's pointing to really get a good run off and not hit that wall. Take a look here at Brandon Guerin once again into the outside wall, so you gotta have to think that Guerin at least got some sort of damage there going into turn number 1. And yeah, you can see a little bit of damage to the front nose, at least right below the headlight there, but still able to keep some decent pace. I mean, last time by a little bit slower than he would have probably liked with getting past, but able to hang on to 10th at least for the time being. Up towards the front here, Dustin Coggins hanging on to P number 3, but might not be for too much longer, as Steve Ritter in that red 61 has started to run down the 46, and within about, 4 to 5 car lengths down these straightaways, so definitely within striking distance if there is a mistake made by the 46. As we see actually the 62 machine of Frank Zingen down on pit road, so not sure if that's an unscheduled stop or not, but he is down on pit road here pretty early on lap 37. So with that here tonight, at least pitting once, will probably put you about 2 laps down when it's all things considered, as now we see the one car of Brandon Guerin coming on down as well. So yeah, I think pit window definitely on the open side, as we see some takers. Frank Zingen here getting rocking and rolling out of pit road. The 62, let's see where he will file on out, as leaders just crossing the start finish line. So that'll be the race for the 62 to stay at least 1 lap down, as you can see him there on the left side of your screen coming off of pit road, as Mike Kelly, our race leader, going to try and put him 2 laps down, but looks like Zingen will hang on to it. Maybe not. He does a smart move there. Backs on out. Gives Mike Kelly the lane. And the 62 should be able to get on by here pretty quick with some fresh tires. Brandon Guerin getting that one car rocking and rolling off of pit road here. So the one car trying to get some of that damage repaired, as well as some fresh tires on that car. Definitely going to help the handling in that aspect with some fresh rubber. So he will merge on out right behind Chad Coleman here, so may have to maybe not even wait for Coleman, as you can see the effect of new tires right there. I mean, just getting up to speed, able to roll that corner very nicely and complete the pass very easily there by Guerin. So Guerin battling here with the 32 of Bryson Anderson, now sits one lap down, another car lap down, the 15 machine of Landon Audit. George Ledesma down on pit road as well, so the 44 getting their first service of the night done and over with. Still, everyone inside the top 5 has yet to visit pit road here, so these guys going to try and run this on out just a little bit longer. I think anyone that did pit, in these first 40 or so laps, going to try and two-stop it from here on out. I think the rest of the field, though, going to try and make it to that magical 60-65 lap mark, and from there they can then one-stop it. Once again, we head back to that battle for that third position here, as Steve Ritter here once again takes a peek to the inside of Coggin going into turn number 1. Dustin there will slam the door shut and will continue to hold on to P number 3. And it looks like at least one car with some sort of pit road penalty, spending some extra time on pit road, was George Ledesma, still down on there. So I'd have to think maybe a unsafe entry to pit road or speeding on pit road would cause a lengthy pit stop here tonight. And that is pretty much a race ender when it comes to these NASCAR races for contending for a win, especially under green flag pit stops. I mean, you lose so much time here, and that is the case, especially here at Darlington. So right there, we just saw the tail end of it. Joe Hudson into the top 5. Hudson able to get around Logan Cougar for that 5th position. So Hudson turned the dial back at the start of the run, took care of his tires. Now it's really paying off for that 23 machine, as he has driven on up into the top 5 here tonight. Rob Lowell maybe into the wall there, if not very, very close to it, as that 21 machine definitely wounded here tonight. Just trying to click off the laps here, survive, hope for a caution flag to get some repairs done. But yeah, that's not a fun night at all, as you're kind of just riding on around damaged race car. It can get frustrating pretty quick, but at the end of the day, you gotta say, am I racing for points? That's the big question. If you are, you gotta tough it on out and know that you have nights like that, as a 21 machine once again just bouncing it off the wall. And I think Rob Lowell might have the record here tonight for the most Darlington stripes, as yeah, you can see that car. I mean, as soon as he gets into the corner entry, I mean, plowing like a dump truck all the way to the outside wall. I mean, ugh, that's not a fun night. I've been there many of times, and I don't envy what Rob is doing out there. As contact there. I was just about to say, Rick Kennedy able to get around Logan Cougar. Cougar, though, giving the 10 machine a little shot in the shorts there, right through the apex of that corner. Rob Lowell, just as we were saying how much, that ride maybe not fun to drive, he will get a piece of the inside wall there. It looks like we'll call it a night, or at least jump back to pit road as we stay under the green flag conditions here. As out in front, it is still Mike Kelly. Everyone on the lead lap, as well as Bryson Anderson and Landon Audit, have yet to pit. The first drivers on new tires, Frank Zingen being one of them last time by. The 62 machine, a 30.52, whereas the leader's a 31.56. So Frank Zingen, even with pitting, he loses that big chunk of time, but each lap he's making up, a second at a time. So a big time difference, even on, 35, 40 lap old tires. As we see our first taker here inside the top 5 down to pit road. It looks like the first taker will be the 38 kick-out machine of Chad Coleman. So Coleman will bring it safely down to pit road here on lap 50. Now the question is, if you're the likes of Mike Kelly out there with a nice lead, you see that Coleman pits. How many laps do you take it? Because you know you can't give up too many. A second a lap you can lose. That is a lot of time pretty quick. Still Steve Ritter, Dustin Coggin nose to tail for now the second position, as those two still racing their race, running their lines, and I tell you what, putting pressure on each other, not making it a Sunday night cruise, and that usually is never the case though here at Darlington. As now we see our race leader here, Mike Kelly, down on pit road this time, so takes him about 2 laps here. I like the call, not give, you know, the 38 of Coleman too many laps on those fresh tires. So we see the 43 machine down on pit road. Now we'll hand over the race lead for the first time here tonight. And our new race leader being the 46 of Dustin Coggin. So Coggin out in front over Steve Ritter, as Ron Holyfield down on pit road as well. So both the 43 and the 25 here into their pit stalls, nice and easy, nice and safely. The question is, where does Mike Kelly blend back in here, as Frank Zingen, Chad Coleman here side by side for position. Remember, all these cars have now pitted, so pretty even on the tires. Is Coleman going to be able to make that pass pretty easy? Mike Kelly here already onto the racing surface into turn number 3, as Kelly very well, I should say a very good job at getting on and off of pit road, as he either increased or for sure kept it the same, his gap over Chad Coleman. Looks like once it's all said and done, about 3.5 second difference between the 43 and the 38, but still out in front. Dustin Coggin still out here clicking down the laps. This time though, we see Steve Ritter down on pit road here on lap 55 going to 56. So now the question is, how long does Coggin stay on out? He knows he has Ritter right on his back bumper, at least before the pit stops. Does he stay on out, try and give himself a tire advantage? But then he has to worry about trying to pass that 61 machine. Definitely a tough call. Looks like Coggin going to stay on out for yet another lap here. So if he stays out another time, that tells me the 46 is running this tank dry and, you know, says we'll get him back once the tires kind of shake on off again or whatnot. But last time by best lap by anyone here in the race so far here tonight was completed by the 43 machine of Mike Kelly. So Kelly putting those new tires to work here. He has actually stretched out his lead over Chad Coleman now to just over 4 seconds. So Kelly definitely pushing the envelope a little bit on those new tires, but he definitely has the breathing room to do so, as we see Rick Kennedy and Logan Cougar both down here on pit road. So that leaves about 3 or so cars that have yet to come to pit road. As Mike Kelly there able to get back on the lead lap there with those fresh tires. as now that puts Chad Coleman into the lucky dog spot if we do get a caution in the middle of these green flag cycle here. But so far, first 60 laps done, gonna be started here tonight, and so far only one caution here in this one. So Coggin, one of the three yet to pit, the other being the 23 machine of Joe Hudson. And the last of the cars, the purple number 74 of Brian Wertman. So we will keep an eye on those three, see when they decide to come down to pit road, because from here on out they could probably make it on that one more fill up. Rick Kennedy here getting his car rocking and rolling. Logan Cougars finds himself 3 laps down, so I believe, yeah, it looks like maybe a penalty on pit road for the 80 and the 15, as they had extended pit stops here, and we see our race leader now, Dustin Coggin, onto pit road. So looks like penalties handed out to the, like I said, the 80 of Logan Cougar, Landon Audit, and George Letzma as well, all with some troubles on pit road so far here tonight. Now our race leader, Joe Hudson here, taking it down pit side here this time by. So the 23 going to try and bring it down safely. Looks like does a beautiful job at that. We also hear the call on out this time by the 74 machine of Brian Wertman, bringing that thing pit side as well. So that will pretty much complete the green flag pit stops here from Darlington, at least the first round of them, as Mike Kelly will take back the point. Kelly leads the way over Chad Coleman. Now it is Steve Ritter up into P number 3. We'll have to see how Dustin Coggin can get up through the field. Coggin will re-blend out in the field right around the 8th position, so he will have his work cut on out for him. Actually, when it's all said and done, you know, he'll come out in 6th, but still has to get around Brandon Guerin, Frank Zingen, and then Steve Ritter as well. So the 46 definitely having his work cut out for him as we just get past the halfway point here tonight. So halfway down, halfway to go here at Darlington. I think with that, let's do a little turn 3, turn it up, let the cars do the talking a little here from Darlington. Alrighty, we come back here at Darlington after a little turn 3, turn it up. No real shakeups in the standings as everyone's kind of running what pace they feel is right here. And still out in front, Mike Kelly here leading the way over Chad Coleman in second. Steve Ritter sits in that third position. Frank Zingen up to P number 4, and then the biggest mover of the race, Brandon Guerin, trying to hang on to 5th, but not for long, as here comes Dustin Coggin. Coggin, remember, having about 25 lap newer tires than the one car. Gonna make that pass look pretty easy. So Coggin up to 5th here. Remember, the 46 was battling the 61, but now about 12 seconds back. He's gonna have to really keep a decent pace for a long time here to run down back where he was running before those pit stops. Driver currently in the lucky dog spot is the 23 machine of Joe Hudson. Hudson, I think, just behind the race leader. Let's take a look at it here with the track map. Of course, track map will show who we are looking at, highlighted green. Everyone else, look for your favorite driver's car number, and you can see next car in front of Hudson is our race leader here. So we'll see if the 23 can chase him on down, especially late in the run. That's where Hudson was really picking up some really good time here. So Brian Werman able to get around the one car. Brandon Guerin not for position, but this next car behind the one is for position. The 25 and the 1 gonna battle it on out for that 6th position here. Holyfield about 15 lap newer tires than Guerin, and gonna make him work very nicely there through 3 and 4, able to get around Brandon Guerin nice and easily. So now the one car just kind of has to hold on to about, lap 80 or so, and then he can split this final run kind of in half, because remember the last time the one car came down was 37, so probably wants to do about another 40 laps on those tires. Put him right around lap 77, and from there you can put another 40 laps on him. Be right there pretty close to the end of this one. As we see George Ledsma here once again down on pit road in the 44 on the car, or the 67, as that looks like a tough night for him. As Bryson Anderson still out on the racetrack. Anderson, though, sitting 11 laps down, as Ken Kuko was out here. Looks like back out of the race, so they brought the 51 machine back behind the pit wall. So Bryson Anderson can at least pick up at least one more position here tonight. Dustin Coggin here getting around Frank Zingen for that 4th position. So the 46 machine back here into 4th, though a long way still to go to try and run down Steve Ritter. As you see, the 46 just going into turn number 1 by the time the 61 is going into turn number 3, so half a track back. Going to be a tall order to get done here in the last half of this race. Mike Kelly just getting through a little bit of lap traffic there. That will actually put Brandon Guerin 1 lap down. Joe Hudson was able to get his lap back the hard way, so the 23 machine back on the lead lap for the time being. Now the first car 1 lap down is our biggest mover of the night, Brandon Guerin, in 8th position. So that's what you'll get to, especially green flag pit stops, long runs here at Darlington. You'll get the field spread on out a lot. So that's kind of, you think of Darlington, could expect some big ones. That's only really when the field's bunched on up. Once they get spread on out, it is pretty rare to get a caution flag, especially here on iRacing, where the racing groove is kind of, this 3-lane groove around this racetrack. And that's where iRacing needs to have a car spun out on the racing surface to deploy its own caution. If you spin out below that, iRacing's not going to throw a caution and will keep the green flag out. So another reason why it might be a little tough to get a caution flag here at Darlington. As George Ledsma still there down on pit road. Ron Holyfield now going around Frank Zingen. This is a battle for a top 5 position here. As remember, Zingen on the 2-stop strategy, last down on pit road on 36. So definitely inside the next window to come out, bring it on down for the final time here. As now here comes Joe Hudson as well. So if I'm the 62, you know, once the 23 gets on by, I'm thinking pit road probably sooner than later, or for sure once that leader comes on around, because the next car going to be behind the 62 of Zing and is our race leader here, Mike Kelly. So Hudson going to be able to complete the pass there through turn number 1. Now set his sights on Ron Holyfield. He was in fact in front of Holyfield before, but remember Ron pitted about 10 laps sooner, so was able to make up some time. Now at a tire deficit, Joe Hudson gonna try the move here through 3 and 4, get to the inside here and down the front straightaway. Drag race between the 23 and 25, and Joe Hudson once again here tonight back into the top 5. So yeah, like what I just said here, the 62 of Frank Zingen down here on pit road, and I like that call. You know, just getting passed by everyone for position, say, you know what, we can only, you know, lose more time, so might as well come in, slap another set of tires on that race car and just push that baby to the end of this one. The next car that should be heading to pit road should be the one car of Brandon Guerin. Guerin's got to be careful, make sure that he hits his marks on his pit stop. I mean, going to be pitted 1 lap down, so, you know, he would love to kind of stay 2 laps down at most, but that will be a pretty tall task to do, as well as we see that one car under those old tires getting tight into the outside wall, getting that Darlington stripe, as there's probably not too many cars out here tonight that don't have a Darlington stripe at the end of this one. Maybe Mike Kelly and maybe, you know, Chad Coleman, those 2 cars looking pretty clean. Same, you know, with even Steve Ritter. As we saw there, Landon Audickin down and out of the way there in the 15. Audit now going 4 laps down, but still within striking distance of a top 10. As 10th is currently Frank Zingen, back out on track with some fresh tires. So we will take a look here at the times, see what he can do already. First lap, a 30.66. Already about a second faster than Mike Kelly. Kelly last time by a 31.4. So yeah, Mike Kelly definitely has that car rocking and rolling, looking to put yet another car lap down here tonight. The next one of the sights is our P number 6 runner, Ron Holyfield. Holyfield about, you know, 3 car lengths in front of him, so going to be in danger very quickly of going 1 lap down. As we see Ron here take a move to the left side of the racetrack there, and or the right side of our screens, depending on how you want to think about it, but gets up out of the way of our race leader, and always appreciate some nice respectful racing like that. As now we get about 40 laps to go here tonight, as Mike Kelly has now lapped up into just about the top 5. Next car sitting in front of him is P number 5 of Joe Hudson. Hudson should be alright, at least for the time being. But here we go, battle for position. We saw these 2 make contact earlier. How will this go? Rick Kennedy versus Brandon Guerin. Guerin gonna probably make the 10 car use the stuff up if he can. As those 2 will go side by side here through 3 and 4, and Rick Kennedy keeps his foot in it, able to complete the pass there. That pass may be assisted just a little bit by about 20 lap newer tires by the 10 machine. And I'm surprised we haven't seen Brandon Guerin down on pit road. I mean, now closing on into, you know, about 50 laps done on these set of tires. As Mike Kelly, pretty open track in front of him, so I say let's ride on board, see what Mike Kelly's doing kind of later in this run. About, like I said, about 25 closing in on the 30 laps on these set of tires. Let's take a look, see what this car is doing, see how it's feeling as we ride on board with the 43 machine here. As you heard there, got a little bit tight, had to get out of that throttle, but you can see coming off of turn number 2, it's all about that throttle control, getting that right front just to cut enough and then back into that throttle, because here at Darlington, 2 long straightaways, you want to make sure you can get the best run each and every time if you can. You can hear these cars on the tire side, that tire screeching just a little bit, and that's surprisingly actually pretty fast here on iRacing. So Mike Kelly's still making that car work pretty nicely here tonight, and out in front now over a 6.5 second advantage over Chad Coleman in second. Coleman, though, able to increase that gap a little bit over Steve Ritter. Ritter losing a little bit of time here, but Coggin only able to make up about 2 seconds on Ritter since the last time we checked on in. So that 46 may have waited a little bit too long, but he is for sure good to the end on fuel. So that'll be the question, does the leaders have enough? Can they save enough, or are they going to come down for one more time? As, yeah, they will pit another time. Here we go. Mike Kelly from the race lead heading to pit road here. So the 43 machine diving down to pit road, wanted to be the first this cycle on around here on 92. Steve Ritter will also jump to pit road here. So first and third down now. That leaves Chad Coleman picking up a bonus point here tonight and a lap led. So I think Coleman, knowing that, hey, we got to come in here probably sooner than later. Don't want Kelly to get too much of advantage on those tires. But I tell you what, Coleman would be pumped up for a caution at this point. But like I said, going to be a tall order to get so. As Mike Kelly here will get rolling off of pit road. Looks like Kelly will stay 1 lap down, so that is a big deal because he could get the wave around if they do get a caution. As a 43 will get rocking and rolling. Ron Holyfield now down on pit road as well. As Chad Coleman here will stay out yet another lap, so the 38 machine going to try and stretch it on out just a little bit here. See if he can get an advantage to the 43, maybe once it flips back on the tire cycle. This time here on 95, we also now see the 10 machine of Rick Kennedy down on pit road. So Kennedy gonna pit right around the 7th or so position. Yeah, I tell you what, I give the one car, Brandon Guerin, a lot of props. Still out here on the racing surface, still clicking off the laps. Remember, he last pitted there on lap 37, so he is definitely stretching out the life of those tires. Right now, at the moment, Mike Kelly going to be the lucky dog candidate, going to be the next car behind Chad Coleman as well. So, should be interesting to see, does Coleman wait until Kelly kind of gets to his back bumper to head to pit road? Or does he do it a little bit sooner here? Because last time by Chad Coleman at 31.66, Mike Kelly at 30.20. Just as I say that, Mike Kelly goes even quicker. Best lap of anyone here tonight, a 29.86. So I believe the first and only car in the 29s is this 43 machine. He is absolutely flying out here saying, you know what, we got that new rubber, going to be just about 25 to go. Let's turn it on up, see what we have here. And this will be to get back on the lead lap if he gets around Coleman this lap. As you had Mike Kelly going to be able to complete the pass here down the back straightaway. So Mike Kelly back on the lead lap. Now the first car going to be one lap down. The 61 machine of Steve Ritter. Ritter down the back straightaway right when the leaders there cross the stripe. And speaking about crossing the stripe, next time by we head into the countdown clock. It will be 25 laps left here at Darlington. Like I mentioned here before here tonight, remember this is a race replay here on this Tuesday night. These guys, of course, back racing live this Friday night at Phoenix. So if you want to be a part of the racing action, be sure to check out the 802 iRacing League on Facebook or their Discord, as well as be sure to tune in Friday night for the live racing action here on the Turn 3 Racing Network here as we head on down to the countdown clock here with 25 to go here at Darlington. Brandon Guerin finally throwing in the towel with almost 80 laps done on those tires here. So that is pretty impressive by the one car as he will get that thing back rolling. But Chad Coleman still staying out here on the racetrack. And I think Coleman kind of set his bet here tonight that, hey, we're going to try and run this thing to the end. Mike Kelly about 28 seconds back. So Kelly just has to be, you know, a second better each and every lap at least. And he can go take over the race lead. But that won't be needed because here comes Chad Coleman down here to pit road. So the 38 machine will duck down here and head to pit road. We'll get probably a shortened service if I would have to imagine. Maybe just a splash and go, 2 tires and get back out there. But that will hand over the race lead now to the 46 machine of Dustin Coggin. Coggin for sure good to the end. The question is, Mike Kelly 8 seconds back. You'll probably have time to get there here with 23 to go. As Joe Hudson here still out on the racing surface. He sits P number 2, and like I said, Mike Kelly on those fresh tires sits in third, trying to track down that 23 machine. Going to try and get by him as quickly and safely as possible because Kelly knows he has the car to beat, just has to get there in time. And luckily for him, time is on his side. As we also see the 80 machine of Logan Cougar here down and away from pit road. Cougar will rejoin about the 11th position, so may need some help to get any more spots here tonight. But Cougar at least having a better night than the championship runner, Cody Gibson, back at 17. So Cougar will definitely make up a few points here with that championship race. But out in front, Dustin Coggin picked up the lead here during the first green flag pit stops. gonna try and run this thing to the end. The first car 1 lap down, Frank Zingen here in that 62 machine, so Zingen gonna try and hang on to that spot. The next car will be Ron Holyfield. Holyfield quite far back there from the 62, about a half track back, so looks like Zingen should be able to hang on to that and be in the lucky dog spot if we do get a caution here in these last 20 or so laps. Throughout the field, no real cars, you know, running for position, or a battle between cars for position, let's say. As a few drivers with some newer tires trying to get on through. That is the 43 machine of Mike Kelly catching Frank Zingen, and then Brandon Guerin on the freshest tires of these three right behind them as well. So Guerin knows he has to be kind of on it to get back at least to 1 lap down, but doesn't want to race the 43, you know, too rough, because he knows that could be the race winner when it's all said and done. Here late in this one, Logan Cougar on the loud pedal here was able to just throw down a 29.95. So besides Mike Kelly, the only other car able to get down into the 29-second bracket here during the race. As out in front, Dustin Coggin here leads the way, but Mike Kelly now within 2 seconds of our race leader. So Mike Kelly definitely has enough time to track him on down, definitely has the pace. The question is, how well can he get on around? Because, you know, Coggin probably won't make it the easiest pass, knowing it's could be the battle for the win here. So Brandon Guerin able to get to 1 lap back here, and at the start finish line, 16 to go. Mike Kelly right there. Dustin Coggin gonna play it safe, gonna let the 43 sail on in there, and Mike Kelly back to the point now with 15 laps left in this one. So Coggin going to be able to hang on to second for the time being. The next closest car, the 61 machine of Steve Ritter. And look at this, Chad Coleman way back here still. Coleman just off of turn number 2, so he will have his work cut out from him. He's got to go around Joe Hudson, as well as the 61 of Steve Ritter, to get back to P number 3 even. So Chad Coleman definitely going to be heavy on the loud pedal to try and get back through as many spots as he can. But now 15 coming to 14 to go here at the stripe. It looks like the lady in black, you know, not the kindest, especially here on the iRacing simulator, because here tonight already, I want to say, you know, at least 5 cars tapped on out when it comes to the race here. So definitely a race of attrition, and that is each and every time you head to Darlington, it seems like. So like I said, Dustin Coggin still hanging on to that position here, as Chad Coleman able to get around Joe Hudson. So Coleman up to P number 4. Just needs to get one more spot to be chatting with us after this one, but gonna have some time to make up, about 7 seconds back. But good news for him, he's about 2 seconds quicker than Dustin Coggin, so he could just barely get to Coggin in time. He's going to have to hope Ritter kind of holds Coggin on up, because that will be the next battle for position, as last time by Ritter able to throw down a 30.90. So good enough pace to probably keep Coleman at bay for these last 12. So Steve Ritter, another one of those drivers, a nice, quiet, clean night, and it's going to pay off big time for him up here on the podium, and could easily walk away here with a runner-up finish when it's all things considered. That's a pretty good night. Out in front here, Mike Kelly will see 2 open palms from the flagman. It will now be 10 to go here at Darlington. Kelly away with the fresh tires, clean air. He's looking to just set sail, hoping for no late race caution left in this one. Not quite the same case though for P number 2, Dustin Coggin. Coggin on one of the, actually, he is on the oldest set of tires here on the racetrack. Last pitted there on 61. You know, these tires now getting close to about 60 laps old. How can he hang on? Because next car behind Coggin is P number 3, Steve Ritter, pitted at the same time as Mike Kelly. He has the better tires, has the pace. Can he complete the pass here with 8.5 laps left in this one? Because here through 3 and 4, Steve Ritter is going to be all over the back bumper of the 46. Here we go, battle for that second and runner-up position here, as Steve Ritter will be able to make that pass pretty easy down the front straightaway. Pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw from Mike Kelly and Dustin Coggin. Now the question is, can Coggin hang on to this position here for these last 8 laps? Coleman sits about 2 seconds back. It's going to be a tough order for Coggin to do. Riding on board with Dustin Coggin, you can see there the next car behind him, the Tide Ride of Frank Zingen. Then further on back, you see the red Kit Kat machine of Chad Coleman. Coleman, of course, sitting in that 4th position. Coggin up into 3rd. Zingen going to get tight there off of turn number 2. Keeps it up out of the way. That is what not, that is not what Dustin Coggin wanted to see. He wanted to see Coleman at least get hung up a little bit by the 62. So now no cars separate, but the 2 of them, you can see 30 lap tire advantage, what it can do for just the pace through the corner, because here comes Chad Coleman with a full head of steam down the back straightaway, and what a power move by Chad Coleman to get on by. Wow. I was afraid Coleman may not have enough time to get on by, but able to do it now with 5 fingers up in the air. It is 5 to go. Coleman, though, within 2 seconds of Steve Ritter, 10 lap fresher tires, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Coleman about 0.4 of a second better. Going to have to be a little bit better than that to run him on down in time. Mike Kelly, though, out in front, clean air in front of our race leader, so shouldn't be no trouble. We'll keep an eye on this battle that could be for second, as Chad Coleman has reeled in Steve Ritter, now a 1.5 seconds. Back down that back straightaway, able to take off another 0.3 of a second. So Coleman definitely trying to wheel this race car on this racetrack. You can see Coleman there sideways up against the fence. He is trying to get every single inch and tenth out of that race car here late in this one to try and run back down Steve Ritter. Coleman now about 10 car lengths back here. Coleman could have maybe one shot at Ritter before it's all said and done, because this time by, we see popsicle sticks up in the air. It is 2 to go here at Darlington. it's got to be such a difficult position right here for Ritter. This late in the race, pressure's at its highest. Maybe the most pressure he felt all night. You're on older tires, the car not reacting probably as much as you would like, and you're out there trying to wheel that thing, keep that competitor at bay. As we see the white flag here, we are racing back to the checker one more time around here at Darlington. Chad Coleman gonna have pretty much one last shot at it down the back straightaway. Coleman in the wall through 1 and 2. That may have sealed the deal right there, as he will get one more shot to dive it down in turn number 3. Not going to be close enough. And off of turn number 4 at the start finish line, Mike Kelly will pick up the win here tonight at Darlington. Off of turn number 4, Steve Ritter will bring it home second. Chad Coleman will round out the podium. Dustin Coggin able to limp that car on fumes. What a fuel run by Coggin to bring it home in 4th. And Joe Hudson gonna do the same, gonna limp it on fumes there for a P number 5. But the man of the hour, it seems like here at Darlington, was a 43 machine of Mike Kelly. He will bring it down to the front straightaway. Get ready to celebrate yet another win. And let me double check. I believe this is at least win number 2 on the Friday night side of things. Yes, it is. Last time coming, I believe, at Texas. So Mike Kelly getting the job done here. We'll celebrate here, and don't go anywhere, folks. Right after a quick commercial break, we will be back with our post-race show here, at least chatting to Mike Kelly, if not the other top 3 finishers. So we'll be right back here after a quick commercial break.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we are back here at Darlington Raceway and going to be talking to our race winner first. We have the 43 machine of Mike Kelly down here in Victory Lane. Mike, you got a copy of Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, Brett, how's it going this evening?
Man, it's going pretty good. How about yourself, man? Race replay done and over with, and you, my man, walking away with the checkered flag in pretty dominant fashion as well. That 43 machine looked hooked up here tonight.
Yeah, I can't believe how good I feel right now. I could go another whole 130 laps, but Yeah, the 43 Sim 500 Pennzoil Dark Horse Mustang was on a rail tonight. Handled great, got good tire wear. I guess the only thing I could have asked for more would have been better fuel mileage, but other than that, it was a really fun, solid run to have a dominant race like that. You can't beat it. That's what we do it for.
Yeah, exactly. One caution at Darlington, man, that had to be awesome to feel and to get that field spread on out. And then coming down to, the game that, some people dread, some people like. It's the fuel mileage slash, hey, when's the best time to pit? And I think, Mike, you hit the strategy perfect here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I want to say as I'm sitting here going through what I just watched on that replay was I may have set a personal best for myself tonight in that race, whereas I believe I was the fastest in practice. I had the pole, I led the most laps, I set the fast lap, and I won the race. So that was a pretty good sweep, and I don't believe I've ever done that before. So that's pretty cool. But on to your next point, the fuel mileage thing. Yeah, that I had to expose myself for a little bit, and old Chad, I tell you, he's a sly one because I really didn't want to do that last pit. I knew we couldn't make it. I knew there was a couple guys that were maybe going to try and do it successfully, which there was. But I wasn't. I still thought the two-stop strategy was going to be faster with the tire fall off we had. So, Chad went a couple laps after me the first stop. It didn't really help him that much. And then I didn't want to pit again until after he did. And so he called out that he was going to pit, and I believed him like a fool. I should have waited and verified, but I didn't. I just went ahead and pitted right away. And he decided to stay out because, of course, I don't think he felt, that he was like 6, 7 seconds down at that time. So I'm sure he felt like, unless I screwed up my pit stop or something bad happened, that he didn't have a chance to win at that point. So he gave me the feint and I took it. And so then he stayed out and tried to get a yellow. So I was vulnerable there for a few laps until he pitted. And really, because we were out of tires and he still had a set. So if a yellow would have come out, I was cooked. And anybody that was trying to run that longer strategy had that advantage going for them. So even though I had a good lead once everything phased through, I still was, not comfortable until the very end because those guys had an extra set of tires in the pits. So anybody who was still out at that time, if a yellow would have came out, that probably would have been gifted, to those guys to have a chance because we all would have been on old tires. So sitting in the driver's seat, it was exciting to the very end.
Yeah, that it was. We kind of didn't know how it was going to shake on out there till the very end. And I got to give props, Dustin Coggin running that thing on empty. I wasn't too sure if someone could make it, a one stopper, but man, he was just able to do so. And I'm sure, like you said, that put a little bit of worry getting it trapped a lap down in case they did have that unfortunate caution during green flag pit stops there.
Yeah, and I get bit by that all the time. So I'm always very scared until everybody gets through the cycle. But the first run wasn't sure if we could make it to halfway. So we were all kind of saving a little bit that very first run. And once I got to the point where I was sure that I was not going to be able to get to halfway on the pace I wanted to run, I just decided to do it was basically like a 50, 40, 35 or something like that, something in that ballpark. Except, like I said, with Chad on that second one, I wanted to go at the same time as him to eliminate that threat of the yellow, uh, you know, causing a problem there at the end. So, yeah, I had a strategy set out and I just stuck to it and tried to, run the pace that I wanted to race, which obviously was fast enough to, to win the race. Once I realized Chad, just was just a tiny bit slower, which, when you're running 100 and some laps, a tenth a lap or even a half a tenth of a lap adds up pretty good over time. So I felt like if the race just went green, that I had it in the bag.
Yeah, that definitely was the case. And like you said, Mike, you had a great car, like you said, fastest lap, qualified on the pole, led the most laps, won this thing. I mean, man, a dominant race here. And do you think that's Darlington, these cars? I mean, what was really clicking for you tonight? Because this place, as we all know, is such a driver's track, and you got to be up on the wheel every single corner.
Yeah, that's the main thing about Darlington is it's a no rest, your brain, your processor's at 100%, so to speak, in your head the whole race. There's no relaxation. I mean, every single corner is challenging. So that's what I've always loved Darlington. It's gone through phases on iRacing where I ran really well, and there was a point with whatever was going on with their tire models that I couldn't do a run without destroying my right front. I'd always be fast at the beginning and then fall off. But as long as I get a good, uh, stable to loose car here, I really enjoy racing here. But as you saw on Sunday when we went to the Cup Series, I didn't have any sort of dominance there at all. I was fast, but so I don't know if it was just the field size or whatever. Maybe the car. I really like the Xfinity car as well, or the O'Reilly Auto Parts car, whatever we're calling it. So that could be the case too. I definitely run good in that car, but it was just a great night.
Oh yeah, that it was. I mean, like you mentioned, these cars are so much fun where you can actually lean on the right rear and get some play in it and not, be totally out of control and have that, that one save you get to have like the next gen cars and whatnot.
Yeah, I felt like it went through some different phases, so that's always fun. And I mean, again, whether I've always said whether that's realistic to real life or whatever, I don't care because especially with the fixed setup, it's just fun to have something that changes, grooves change, the cars change. And it went from a little bit loose to kind of tight to actually the end of the runs for me. It was a lot slower pace, obviously. We were 1.5, 2 seconds off the pace, but at that point in the run, it was very comfortable to drive. It had a slight push in the middle of 1 and 2 where you're trying to come up to that second apex, but you just had to be patient with it, and it would just turn right down across the track. So it was pretty neutral for the last half of the run. And if I can get a car like that doesn't, burn up the right front, I'm generally going to be up contending.
Yeah, I would believe so here. And, next week, or I should say this week, this Friday, another pretty good driver's track, old Phoenix Raceway. How do you feel about that place for this Friday?
I love Phoenix as well. Always look forward to going to Phoenix. It's hard to pass. So the one thing about Phoenix is you better hit your qualifying. If you're fast and you want to have a chance to win, if you're assuming a clean race, you better hit your qualifying lap and start up front because it's another track that's challenging every lap. You don't get to relax. It's crazy with that low road through the tri-oval dogleg thing. And restarts are crazy. Restarts are crazy there because it's so hard to pass. So always look forward to Phoenix, and I plan on hoping that there'll be a good field to race there, and I'll look forward to having a chance to try to get up front and contend for a win there.
Yeah, we'll see if we can go 2 in a row here on the Friday nights here. As of course, second career win on the Friday night. So once again, Mike, big congrats to you for that. And want to thank you for taking your time here on tonight, chatting with us after the race. And before we let you go, man, we got to go hand over the mic to you and have you thank who you got to thank, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out from Victory Lane here at Darlington.
Yeah, you bet. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to do this when you couldn't get it done. And a lot of times leagues will say they're going to do that, it doesn't happen. So can't leave you hanging on that. Got to come out and do the driver interview. That would be quite unprofessional. So kudos to you for doing that, and a shout out to everybody at your network, and shout out to the sponsors of the races and all the admins. Shout out to Steve Ritter for running good in second and holding off Coleman because I hate that feeling when you're running on the podium and you got a guy chasing you down and you're like, I'm going to get passed on the last lap. Nothing sucks worse than that. So shout out to him and Chad for a good run, and all the competitors. Obviously, it wasn't a big field, but to go with only one caution there at Darlington for that many laps is a good feat as well. So just shout out to everybody for a good race. And as always, the smoking hot wife and my little dog Izzy.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. Well, Mike, once again, congrats here on the win down here at Darlington, and win number 2. And I'm sure, my man, we'll be talking to you again here in the near future. So, Mike, you have yourself a good rest of the night, and we'll catch you Friday night here at Phoenix.
Thanks, man. Have a great week.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. That was our race winner in the 43 machine, Mike Kelly. It looks like the rest of the boys here I will chat with before the Phoenix race. So Be sure to tune in there. That broadcast will get started a little bit on the early side, and we'll try and get a word with Chad Coleman and Steve Ritter. But that'll do it here tonight for the race replay of the PD 153 here at Darlington. Done and over with, and these guys get ready to head to live racing action, live coverage this Friday night at Phoenix. Of course, with this league, we got to thank all the racers here being part of the show that all of us could get to enjoy. All the viewers here, whether live or replay here, appreciate each and every one of you. Got to thank all the league sponsors with the 802 iRacing League, that being BG Graphix, Riptide Radio, GStone Motorsports, as well as Stone, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. So that would do it here for me tonight. Like I said, be sure to tune in Friday night for the next Busch Series race, as well as next Sunday, actually 2 Sundays away, as we'll be off on Sundays for the Super Bowl, as well as the Daytona 500. So that'll do it here for me tonight. Turn 3 Racing Network is partnered with Premier Setup Shops. You can check them out with the link in the description. That'll take you on over there and will be much appreciated. So, yeah, that would do it. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth with Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to take care, stay safe, have a great rest of your week. And like I said, we'll catch you Friday night for Phoenix with the 802 iRacing League Busch Series. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.
Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.